Welcome back, Scallywags. Marine Tech Mike. Time for another tech tip. Been working with students about troubleshooting. So this one is going to be, say, number 24, and we're going to talk about troubleshooting a water pump that isn't working. So how do you go on at, $2.50 a minute as a technician and prove to the boat owner a lot of boats? Maybe you forgot and one of the tanks just ran empty and you still have water in the other tank. So if it's running, that's generally the case. It could be something with the intake hose, but that's pretty rare. So if it's spinning and you've added water to the tank, more than likely the pump head is shot. You're going to be just replacing that pump. And so how are we going to get in there and take care of this pump? Well, the first thing we do is, if it's electrical, is we get in here and we uncover the pressure switch on the front. Because that's going to get us access on this pump to get at the electrical connection on the switch, which is going to determine where the fault might be. Okay, situation number 2 is where we're tripping the overcurrent protection or blowing a fuse. So you turn this circuit on and it just immediately pops off. All you're going to do is disconnect, and the reason I like having the pressure switch exposed right here is they're generally these little spade connections. You can just pull it off, because the pump might be butt spliced together. It might be on a terminal strip with screws. We want the fast way. You just unplug the hot lead right here and turn on the circuit again. Does it blow the breaker? If the answer is yes, or a fuse, and you've unhooked the pump is not a problem. It's the interconnecting wiring. So now your job is to go look for chafe or whatever. You're looking at that supply circuitry. It has got a fault somewhere along it, and the overcurrent protection is just doing its job. Okay. Now, if we have unhooked the pump, and with the pump hooked up, if it blows the breaker repeatedly, and we know it's not the interconnecting wiring, because when we unplug the pump it doesn't blow, you're probably replacing the pump. It means that there's a fault inside the pump. It has got some water intrusion or whatever. Time to replace the pump and then go back. The third case is often probably the hardest, is when the pump is absolutely doing nothing. And so what we're going to typically do then is, it's either the pump has something wrong with the brushes or whatever, or the pressure switch, something's going on. So if we turn on the pump and we have power to it, first thing we're going to do is take a jumper wire and we're going to jump across the pressure switch. Ooh, boy, that sounds like that pump's a little long in the tooth. But if I jump that pressure switch, and actually if you pull one lead off, you can typically just touch the two together, and that'll tell us right away. So if that little test, our technicians, look, you've seen my other troubleshooting videos, often will use a circuit breaker, does the same thing. If that test makes the pump run, then that's an easy one. It's just the pressure switch. So you could probably source a new pressure switch, but often in our industry it takes more time to find that part, order the part. It's usually just replacing the pump. Okay, now if we jump the switch and nothing happens, whoops, we jump the switch, nothing happens, pump still doesn't run. We need to figure out, before we say the pump is shot, we need to verify that there is power to this pump. Just because we've got the circuit turned on and it could have a fuse or something, let's verify that it has power. So we're going to take our digital voltmeter, we're going to set it to DC volts, and we are going to go from one of these positives, which is already exposed, trace it back, it's got to be the one that comes from the source, and to a known good ground. And if I see 0 volts, which is happening right here, then we're going to be like, we need to find out why it doesn't have power. And so before we eliminate that pump. So what could that mean? Often, as I mentioned, there might be an inline fuse that is in series with the main circuit breaker or something like that. You could also test the integrity of the pump if you have your little circuit breaker switch that we've built, and you can go from a known source of power and come up here to the pump and turn it on. If it runs, we've proven that the pump is good. We're having trouble getting power to the pump. So That's the extra step. If you jump the switch and the pump doesn't run, probably the pump, make sure you have 12 volts there. And if you don't, that's going to be your issue, is finding 12 volts. But otherwise, same thing. We're going to replace the pump. Hopefully you can get the exact replacement so the fittings are all the same and you don't have to do any messing around. But just like that, in about 5 minutes, you've learned all there is to really need to know to troubleshoot and fix a potable water pump on a boat. So thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Scallywags, located in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, where Skagit Valley College has been training technicians since 1968. If you are looking for industry certification and the skills to work in maritime, this is the place to visit. Our staff will share so much knowledge and experience, you will not be disappointed. The workforce demand is very high and all of our graduates are working around the world. If this sounds interesting to you, schedule a tour and come check us out.